Namaste and welcome to Daily News Simplified, the what, why and how of newspaper reading. Now we would be analyzing the Delhi edition of the Hindu newspaper of 27th of May 2019, and the news that would be covered today is given on the screen, and the timestamp for the same is given in the description and the comment section given below. And so now with this, let us start with the first article. Now we have taken this article from page 15. Now what this article highlights is that India has a target of producing 175 gigawatts from renewable energy, whereby 100 gigawatts of this renewable energy would be from solar energy and 60 gigawatts from wind energy. And this 175 gigawatts for renewable energy should be achieved by 2022. Now what this article is highlighting is that there are various concerns with regards to government's ability to achieve this target, whereby this article highlights various problems with regards to the wind and the solar energy sector. Now we're going to understand the various problems highlighted within this article with regards to the wind and the solar energy sector from the perspective of GS Paper 3 within the section Economic Development and within the subsection Indian Economy and Issues Relating to Planning, and also within the subsection Infrastructure, in particular Energy Infrastructure. Now let us understand the various problems highlighted with regards to the wind and the solar energy sector. Now the first problem highlighted by the author within this article is that the various subcategories within the solar and the wind energy sector, such as solar heating, solar powered agriculture, offshore wind plants, have a lot of potential, but because of the lack of policy of the Government of India, these potentials are not being fully utilized. Now an example of this subcategory would be solar powered agriculture, whereby what has been seen is that the Government of India launched the Kusum scheme so as to ensure the full potential for solar powered agriculture. However, what this article is trying to show is that this policy of the Kusum scheme is not being properly implemented on the ground, and therefore a big potential with regards to solar powered agriculture is not being fulfilled. Apart from this, another subcategory which the author has highlighted with regards to wind energy is of offshore wind plants. However, what is being seen is that there is no proper scheme of the Government of India on how offshore wind plants would be formed within India. The second problem highlighted by the author is that the main focus of the Ministry of Renewable Energy has been to bring down the tariffs of wind and solar power. However, what is being seen in India is that this decrease in tariff is being pushed forward towards the electricity distribution companies. However, the electricity distribution companies are not passing on this decrease in tariff to the consumers like you and me. Now an example of this is that solar power or wind energy developers want to sell power to power distribution companies at ₹4. However, what the Government of India has done is force these developers to sell the electricity at ₹3 to power distribution companies. And therefore what is being seen is that the power distribution companies are able to buy power or purchase power from developers at a low rate. However, what is being seen is that the power distribution companies are not lowering the rate to the consumers like you and me. Therefore, this main focus of the Ministry of Renewable Energy to bring down the tariffs of the wind and solar energy is neither helping the developers of wind and solar energy sector, neither the consumers who are buying electricity from renewable energy. And thereby what is being seen is that it is only helping the power distribution companies. The third problem highlighted by the author is that the maximum potential for wind energy is within the state of Gujarat. However, this has created two problems with regards to the wind energy sector. The first problem is that most of the wind energy developers want to only invest within the state of Gujarat. The second concern has been highlighted by the state of Gujarat itself, whereby what is being seen is that for wind energy a lot of land is required, and this land is being acquired within the state of Gujarat. However, most of the wind energy which is being produced by such plants within the state of Gujarat have their power being exported to different states. And therefore the Gujarat government has raised a concern that most of the lands for producing such wind energy is being given by the state of Gujarat. However, most of the energy or the power which is being produced by such plants is being exported to other states. And therefore within that regard, the Gujarat government imposed various conditions on forming such wind energy plants within its states. However, these conditions were not acceptable or liked by the wind energy developers. And therefore what is being seen is that most of the wind energy projects within the state of Gujarat are currently on hold. The fourth concern which has been raised within this article is that the wind and the solar energy sector has been asking the government of India to bring in state-wise or even substation-wise tenders. However, the tenders which are being floated on state-wise or substation-wise are quite low. Now, a simple example of this is that the substation which might be located within the Kutch district may have a higher potential for wind energy as compared to a substation which might be located within the Rajkot region of Gujarat. Similarly, the land within the Jaisalmer district might be at a cheaper rate as compared to the land which might be used for production of solar energy within the Jaipur or the Jodhpur district. Now, what would happen in substation-wise tenders is that the substation which is located within Jaisalmer or in Kutch would give out a tender, and the developer would have to provide the electricity that it has produced to this substation only. And it is this substation which will distribute the power to other states or other regions. However, a problem which has been highlighted by the developers within the wind and the solar energy sector is that the volume of substation-wise tenders is quite low. The fifth point highlighted within this article is that land ownership is a major issue with regards to the wind and the solar energy sector, whereby a large amount of land is required to set up such plants. But a common complaint by companies within the wind and the solar energy sector is that it has led to an increase with regards to corruption, and moreover it has also increased problems with regards to land acquisition. The sixth problem highlighted within this article is that the wind and the solar energy industry has requested for a closed tender process. However, what is being seen in India is that auctions are currently being held with regards to giving out tenders. Now, in every other major industry such as railways, transportation, road construction, a closed tender bidding is done. Where an example of this is that the Ministry of Railways to purchase cement slabs may give out a tender in which every other company would have to apply online, and this would be a closed tender bidding whereby no other company would know as to what is the rate which has been quoted by its rival or its competitor. But what is being seen in the solar and the wind energy sector is that auctions are being held, and therefore what is being seen is that competitive bidding is being undertaken by wind and solar energy companies, whereby to win a tender, a company may give out a rate which might not be feasible. However, because this company, based on its low bid, has won the auction, it would get the tender. However, what would be seen later is that this company would not be able to fulfill its promise of providing renewable energy at that particular cost. Whereby, let's say, this particular company has said that it would be able to provide energy or power at rupees 3. However, the competitive amount might have been rupees 4. But just to win the tender, this company has quoted a low figure. However, what would be seen later on is that it would not be able to fulfill its obligation of providing energy at rupees 3. And therefore, what this does is led to a delay in the implementation of the project. Now, it is within that context that the solar and the wind energy companies want a closed tender bidding process. The seventh problem which has been highlighted within this article is that the imposition of the safeguard duty on the import of solar modules from countries such as China, the United States and others has increased the cost for solar energy projects. Now, what had happened is that in July of 2018, the Government of India imposed a safeguard duty of 25% on all imported modules of solar energy. Now, this was done by the Government of India so as to promote the domestic manufacturing of solar modules. Now, what was seen is that the import of solar modules from countries such as China might have been costing rupees 100. However, the domestic production of the same solar modules might have been at rupees 150. Therefore, what was currently seen is that the developers of solar plants were importing solar modules rather than buying from domestic manufacturers. However, to support the domestic manufacturers, the Government of India imposed a safeguard duty, thereby increasing the cost of import of solar modules from, let's say, China to rupees 160. Therefore, what this did is help support the domestic manufacturing of solar modules, but however, it increased the cost of formation of solar plants by solar energy developers. Now, the eighth and the last point which has been highlighted in the article is that the imposition of the GST or goods and services tax on various solar components has led to an increase. So now hopefully you understood the 8 problems which have been highlighted within the article which are a cause of concern for the wind and the solar energy sector. And so now with this, let us move on to the next article. Now we have taken this article from page 6. Now the focus of this article is quite small. Now what you need to know is that rice is a water intensive crop. Now, what is happening in the state of Haryana is that the cultivation of rice has led to a depletion within groundwater. Now, it is within that context that the government of Haryana wants the farmers of Haryana to plant alternative crops such as pulses and maize. However, what has happened is that the farmers in Haryana want the Haryana government to ensure support to such crops in the form of minimum support price or MSP or price deficiency payment or PDP. Now, it is within that context that the Haryana government has started a pilot project. Now, under this pilot project, some farmers in particular districts of Haryana will be provided seeds free of cost. Apart from this, financial assistance in the form of Rs 2,000 would also be provided to those farmers. Moreover, crop insurance would also be provided. And lastly, the government of Haryana has also said that maize and the tur dal, which is a form of pulse, would be procured by the government of Haryana at minimum support price. Now, this pilot project of Haryana needs to be seen as an example for your GS Paper 3 within the section Economic Development, and as an example which you can quote when a question is asked with regards to minimum support prices, public distribution systems. So now hopefully you understood about the Haryana pilot project and also as to why it is required to be known for your UPSC mains examination. And so now with this, let us move on to the next article. Now we have taken this article from page 2. Now what this article highlights is that there is a particular landfill site on the Gurgaon-Faridabad road. Now, because no waste-to-energy plant has been set up near this landfill site, it has increased environmental concerns with regards to the residents of Faridabad and with regards to the residents of Gurgaon. Whereby what is happening is that the municipal waste which is being generated in Gurgaon and Faridabad and is being dumped within this particular landfill area is not being properly treated because of a lack of a waste-to-energy plant. Now, it is not required to understand or know as to what is the particular specific problems with this landfill site on the Gurgaon-Faridabad road. Now, what is required to be understood from this article are various problems with regards to waste-to-energy plants. Now, in the Daily News Simplified video of 15th of February, the various problems with regards to waste-to-energy plants within India has already been explained. Moreover, it also includes the possible solutions that can be undertaken so as to improve the scenario for waste-to-energy plants. Now, what we're going to do in today's section is again revise the various problems with regards to waste-to-energy plants and what possible solutions can be undertaken so as to improve the waste-to-energy plant scenario within India. Now, there are three main reasons as to why waste-to-energy plants within India have become defunct. And the first reason is of the environmental concerns that are there with regards to waste-to-energy plants. Now, what generally happens in a waste-to-energy plant is that municipal waste is taken to a waste-to-energy plant. And in this waste-to-energy plant, this waste is then burned. And through the burning of this waste, energy is then produced. Now, this energy which has been produced by burning municipal waste in waste-to-energy plants is then used to create electricity. Now, what is happening in India is that the municipal waste which is going to waste-to-energy plants contain large presence of chlorinated hydrocarbons such as PVC. Now, what happens is that when these PVC pipes or other similar types of plastic are burned in these waste-to-energy plants, they release a number of harmful compounds such as dioxins, mercury vapors, furans, and lead compounds. And apart from this, what also happens is that in waste-to-energy plants within India, about 30% of the residue, meaning what is left over after the waste has been burned, includes bottom ash and fly ash. Now, if you take a look at both of these images, the first image provides as to what are called PVC pipes. Now, what is generally happening within India is that the municipal waste which is collected contains a lot of products which are made from chlorinated hydrocarbons such as PVC pipes. And when these chlorinated hydrocarbons are burned, they release a number of dioxins, mercury vapor, furans, and lead compounds. And apart from this, if you take a look at the second image, after this municipal waste has been burned within India, it leaves over about 30% residue in the form of bottom ash and fly ash, and this can be seen in image number 2. Now, both of these aspects have raised environmental concerns with regards to waste-to-energy plants. Now, the second reason as to why waste-to-energy plants within India are becoming defunct is because of the low energy production viability in the municipal waste. Now, what is being seen in India is that the municipal waste has very high biodegradable or what is called wet waste content. Now, an example of wet waste would be organic waste. Whereby what is happening within India is that the municipal waste contains a lot of waste which are leftovers from vegetables, fruits, and other highly biodegradable waste. And apart from this, the waste from vegetables, fruits, etc. are also wet in nature. And thereby what is happening is that to burn this organic waste, a large amount of energy is then required. And what increases the problem within India is that the municipal waste within India contains about 60 to 70% highly biodegradable waste, which is much higher as compared to 30% biodegradable waste which is available within the West. And because of this, the municipal waste which is then used in waste to energy plants within India have a very high moisture content. And because they have a very high moisture content, they require a large amount of energy to burn. And the energy that is then produced by burning such high moisture content waste also produces very low energy because of its low calorific value. Now, in simple terms, when we say calorific value, it means the heat that has been produced by complete combustion of a particular weight of a product. And because Indian municipal waste contains largely biodegradable wet waste, they have a very low calorific value, whereby the heat which is produced by burning them is quite low. Apart from this, what is also happening within India is that the municipal waste within India is not segregated. Whereby what happens in the West is that the organic waste is kept in a separate bin, the paper waste in a separate bin, the plastic waste, glass waste, metal waste, and other aspects of waste are segregated at the source. Whereby what happens in a Western household is that if they have produced some form of organic waste, they would put it in a separate bin. And similarly, if they have produced plastic waste, they would put it in a separate bin. Now, these separate bins are then taken by the municipal corporation, whereby the organic waste is used in a separate plant, the plastic waste is used in a separate plant, and similarly, the glass waste, the metal waste are used in separate plants for recycling. And what this means is that the waste within the Western countries is being segregated at source. However, what is happening in India is that a normal household generally puts all of their waste in one particular bin, and this one particular bin is then collected by the municipal corporation. And this complete waste, which also contains metals, plastic, paper, organic waste, is then provided to the waste to energy plants. And at these waste to energy plants, this waste then cannot be segregated. And therefore, what is missing within India is source segregation, which is a practice followed within the Western countries. So, if India were to also follow source segregation, then the plastic waste, especially PVC, would then be segregated at source and it would not lead to environmental concerns for waste to energy plants. And similarly, if the organic waste or the wet waste is also segregated at source, then it would not be sent to the waste to energy plants, whereby it would reduce their current 70% presence within Indian municipal waste. Now, apart from this, if you again take a look at the text, municipal waste within India also have high inert content. Now, when we say inert content, it basically means examples such as concrete, clay, tiles, etc., which when burned do not produce any form of energy. And again, one of the main reasons as to why we have such high inert content within the municipal waste within India is because there is no form of source segregation. Now, because of both of these reasons, waste to energy plants within India have low energy production viability, whereby the amount of waste which they are burning produces low amount of energy. And what this means is that waste to energy plants within India have low efficiency. And thereby what this does is that it makes the waste to energy plants within India expensive to operate. And apart from this, if such energy is then used to produce electricity, it becomes too high of a cost as compared to other forms of electricity generation. Whereby because of all of these reasons, the electricity produced in waste to energy plants is more expensive as compared to electricity produced from solar power. Now, the third and the final problem with regards to waste to energy plants within India is of groundwater contamination. Now, groundwater contamination has also been highlighted as a problem in today's article with regards to the landfill which is located on Faridabad to Gurgaon Road. Now, what happens is that a landfill has been formed in a particular area. Now, liquid waste from this landfill then goes down into the land. And what is generally seen is that any groundwater which is located within this area then gets contaminated by the liquid waste which has been leaked from this landfill. So water plants which are also using this groundwater to supply water to people's home or supply water to agriculture fields in form of irrigation also gets contaminated by the liquid waste from this landfill. And this groundwater contamination has become one of the major reasons for protest against such landfills and the waste to energy plants which are formed near these landfills. Now today's article has also highlighted various solutions which can be undertaken so as to stop groundwater contamination, whereby it says collection ponds can also be formed near landfills, whereby what would happen is that all the liquid waste which is being formed in this landfill can be made sure to be collected in a particular pond in a different area, and thereby it can be made sure that this pond of liquid waste does not leak waste into the groundwater. Now another solution which has been highlighted is the spraying of this liquid waste. Now what would happen is that this liquid waste which might be formed in a landfill or near waste to energy plants would be collected in one location, and this liquid waste would be turned into aerosols, whereby these aerosols would then be sprayed into the atmosphere, and what this would ensure is that the liquid waste would be evaporated, and any form of solid waste which might be sprayed into the air would then fall back into this collected area only. And therefore this is a measure in which solid and liquid waste can be separated, whereby liquid waste can be removed through evaporation and then solid waste can be collected and removed through waste to energy plants. Now the third and the final solution given in today's article is to reshape the landfill, whereby it can be made sure that this particular landfill does not touch upon any form of groundwater, and apart from this it can also be ensured that it is not near any form of water body. Now these are the three main problems with regards to waste to energy plants within India. Now let us understand the various possible solutions that can be undertaken so as to make the waste to energy plants within India effective. Now there are four possible solutions which can be undertaken within India so as to prevent the waste to energy plants from becoming defunct. Now the first possible solution is that the Niti Aayog has proposed to set up a Waste to Energy Corporation of India. And this Waste to Energy Corporation of India would construct waste to energy plants through the PPP model, whereby what would happen is that to decrease the cost of forming the waste to energy plants and improving the efficiency in costing of waste to energy plants within India, the government can partner with private companies under the PPP model, and this corporation can be overseen by the Waste to Energy Corporation of India. The second possible solution has been given under the Solid Waste Management Rules of 2016, whereby under the Solid Waste Management Rules of 2016, it had provided that PVC should be phased out in the usage in waste to energy power plants. And this phasing out of PVC should have been done by April of 2018. However, what has happened in India is that the Solid Waste Management Rules of 2016 have not been effectively implemented, whereby what is currently happening is that it is very difficult to identify and remove PVC from the mixed municipal waste, whereby what is being expected is that PVC should be removed at the waste to energy plant itself. However, since most of the municipal waste which have been brought to waste to energy plants contains organic waste, glass, plastic, PVC and other forms of waste, and thereby it becomes very difficult to first identify PVC and then remove PVC from this mixed waste. And therefore what is being required within India is to have source segregation, whereby PVC should not be thrown out in municipal waste. The third possible solution is that the National Green Tribunal has directed the Ministry of Environment to phase out single-use short PVC, and the NGT had asked the Ministry of Environment to issue directions for phasing out of single-use PVC by July of 2017. However, what is currently happening within India is that the single-use short-life PVC continues to be used within India and be thrown out in municipal waste. However, an effective solution so as to prevent waste to energy plants becoming defunct within India is to phase out single-use short-life PVC as has been directed by the National Green Tribunal. Now the fourth and the last possible solution so as to prevent waste to energy plants becoming defunct is in simple terms source segregation, whereby most of the problems which we have discussed with regards to waste to energy plants, such as the presence of PVC, organic waste and other aspects, can all be solved by using source segregation, whereby as individuals or as households or as companies, it is required within India that we segregate our waste, whereby recycled waste in forms of plastic, glass, metal and other aspects should be thrown in separate bins, while organic waste which can be used for compost in agriculture should now also be thrown in separate waste, and rest of the waste which can be used in waste to energy plants such as solid waste should then be segregated in another manner. So now hopefully up till here you've understood as to what are the problems with waste to energy plants and what are the possible solutions so as to prevent the waste to energy plants becoming defunct within India. Now question for your practice for your mains examination is what are the primary reasons for the ineffectiveness of waste to energy plants to reduce waste and produce competitive electricity within India. Suggest remedies for the problems that are therefore mentioned, whereby you would be able to answer this question with the help of the explanation given in this section. And so now with this, let us move on to the next article. Now we've taken this article from page 1. Now what has happened is that the government of India has said that for any talks with Pakistan, Pakistan must first end terrorism. And therefore ending state-sponsored terrorism by Pakistan is a compulsory condition for regional peace, whereby India has continuously said that terror and talks cannot go together. However, you have to understand that this news is currently in transition, whereby we'll wait and see as to what is the response of the new government that has been formed with regards to conducting talks with the new government of Imran Khan in Pakistan. Now what is required for you to understand from this article is what is the Comprehensive Bilateral Dialogue. Now India and Pakistan launched the Comprehensive Bilateral Dialogue in December of 2015, wherein this meant that India and Pakistan would discuss several issues such as the Kashmir issue, terrorism, trade, among other issues in depth. And by including the term bilateral, it meant that these issues would be discussed between India and Pakistan only. Now what generally used to happen earlier was that Pakistan would continue to insist on having other countries or organizations such as the United Nations, Organization of Islamic Countries, China, as a mediator in Indo-Pakistan discussions such as on Kashmir, terrorism or any other issue. However, under the Comprehensive Bilateral Dialogue, it was agreed upon that these issues which exist between India and Pakistan would be discussed only between India and Pakistan, and there would not be any third country interference. And by dialogue, you already know that it means talks and any other form of engagement, such as cultural engagement, commercial engagement, or any other form of engagement between India and Pakistan. However, in January of 2016, the Pathankot terrorist attack happened in India. And after the Pathankot terrorist attack, India stopped the Comprehensive Bilateral Dialogue with Pakistan. And the reason given by India for halting the Comprehensive Bilateral Dialogue was that talks and terrorism cannot go together, wherein Pakistan cannot continue to export terrorism to India, such as during the Pathankot attack, and expect India to continue to hold talks, irrespective of the fact that Pakistan continues to support terrorism. And it is within that context that the Indian government stopped the Comprehensive Bilateral Dialogue with Pakistan. So now hopefully with this you have understood as to what is the Comprehensive Bilateral Dialogue. Now let us wait and see as to what would be the position of the new government of India that has been elected with regards to talks with Pakistan. And so now with this, let us move on to the next section. Now there are two questions for your practice, and what you need to do is pause this video, solve both of these questions and wait for 5 seconds for the correct answer. Now the correct answer to question number 1 is A. The purview of the Kusum scheme is for solar powered agriculture. Now the Kusum scheme is being undertaken by the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. Now one of the objectives of Kusum scheme is to provide for solar water pumps, whereby farmers can install water pumps which are powered by solar energy. And what this intends to do is to have solar powered agriculture, especially irrigation facilities for agriculture. Now with regards to question number 2, the correct answer is A, 1 and 2. Whereby one of the features of the Solid Waste Management Rules of 2016 is source segregation of waste. Apart from this, one of the objectives of Solid Waste Management Rule is the phasing out of burning of polyvinyl chloride or PVC in incinerators. However, option 3 is not an objective or a given solution under the Solid Waste Management Rules of 2016. Now there are 2 more questions for your practice, and as you already understand, pause this video, solve both of these questions and wait for 5 seconds for the correct answer. Now the correct answer to question number 3 is C, 3 only. Now as we have already understood, the Comprehensive Bilateral Dialogue means that there would not be any form of third party involvement in Indo-Pakistan dialogue. Therefore, any form of mediation by the United Nations would not be included in the Comprehensive Bilateral Dialogue. Now with regards to option number 2, Kashmir is part of the Comprehensive Bilateral Dialogue. And with regards to statement number 3, it is the only one which is correct, whereby religious tourism is under the purview of the Comprehensive Bilateral Dialogue. However, you have to understand that comprehensive bilateral dialogue was stopped in 2016. And the Kartarpur corridor, which was recently opened in 2018, was not part of the comprehensive bilateral dialogue. Now, with regards to question number 4, the correct answer is C, 2 only, whereby pulses are provided the minimum support price. Whereby pulses such as gram, tur, moong and others are provided minimum support price within India. Now, with regards to statement number 2, the improvement in irrigation facility, especially within the northern states such as Haryana, Punjab and others, led to a shift from pulses to water-intensive crop. Whereby what happened was that water-intensive crops such as rice gave much more economic profit as compared to the pulses. And therefore what was seen is that there was a major shift, especially within the northern states, to water-intensive crop. However, the shift to water-intensive crops has led to major depletion in groundwater resources in states like Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan and others. Now with regards to option number 3, India is a major importing country of pulses, whereby India is the largest importer of pulses in the world. And with regards to exporting of pulses, India is not among the top 10. And now with this, we come to an end in the analysis of today's newspaper. Now we move on to the question for today.